stage will be Philip McManus and Varun Khendelwal.
My name is Philip McManus. I run a company called Facts Innovations Limited. I'm here with Varun Khendelwal from Snowflake, and we're partnering together to solve a problem that my company has. Basically, to give you a bit of background, my company puts all the world's open data, or we're in the process of putting all the world's open data into a single database in Snowflake. If I pass over to Varun now.
So anyone who has been on the AI journey knows how important the data is to make any AI project successful. A lot of the time we think that internal data is enough to solve most of the problems, but there are always use cases where customers especially see value in having external data to solve their specific problems. Just to state one example, one of a big organization wanted to build models around optimizing their CSR allocations. And then they figured out using external data around different research projects where the money is going on was quite useful in allocating their money for CSR activities. That sort of data is openly available, but it's very difficult to access at times. And that's where we partner with likes of Facts and Dimension, who are our special partner in this space, who makes a lot of this open data available to organizations quite easily and in a very accessible manner, where you don't have to do the hard work of finding the data and then using it in your AI projects. So that's like that opens up a lot more opportunity for any organizations who is looking for external data to enhance their internal data to build their AI models much more powerful. Phil.
Okay. So the reason we're just going to continue covering what we're doing, so that then the AI connection can make a lot of sense. So thank you, Varun. That's an example of what they said. Another example. This is the not in education or employment or training data. That's quite a hot topic now in the Labour government. As you can see, that source data is horrendous mess, and what my company does is load it all into a database. That's all very well and good, and we've been doing that for ages. Okay? We've got loads of tables of data, very good. Now, there's one problem though that has become more and more apparent over the last few years, certainly the last couple of years. There's now so much data in the database that our customers are finding it very hard to find what they're looking for. And one thing that really, really bothers me as a supplier is we have data in our database that only having spoken to a customer at an event like this and other similar events, they've mentioned some data set that they were looking for, that they wanted us to add, and they didn't realise we already had it. It was already in there, but they didn't know it was there because there's no way of searching for it. Now, I don't know how many of you are regular database users, but when looking through your database, I'd imagine you should use what's called the information schema, which has the table names and the column names and the table descriptions if you've got a metadata table describing every table, so you search for all them, right? The problem is, what if what you're looking for is a word that isn't in the table name or the column name or the table description? You'll never know it's there, right? So we've come up with a solution that doesn't involve AI or LLMs, but in about 5 minutes, you'll understand how we will need definitely to use AI and LLMs to make this service properly usable. So if you'll bear with me for a few minutes, we'll just explain how we solved it without AI and LLMs. So we've made one single table, and I reckon this is a real simple solution that you could all do. In your database, you can using Snowflake or any system that's super fast like Snowflake, you could just write a procedure like we have that copies all the every single table name and column name and every distinct value from every column in every column name, in every column of every table, and put it into one table, right? And that way, you've got one long list of every single value that appears in your entire database. And then you've just got one table, and customers can just do a SQL search like that statement. Anyone who's a SQL developer out there will recognise. They can just search that one table and immediately find out all the tables that have got data to do with police or tumours or education or whatever it is they're looking for. Right? So we've solved it here. The only problem is that we're now expanding across Europe. We've got one of our international customers. I did ask them if I could mention it, but they didn't get back to me in time, so unfortunately I can't. But they've asked us to start loading data right across Europe. And that means using multiple languages, right? So I'm going to show a video, which will take 4 minutes to explain why this is a problem. And then me and Varun will explain how we're going to solve it. So, hopefully this will work. No? That needs to come out to that side. Apologies. The thing is, I did a test about in the break and it worked then. Hopefully. Help me with the talk I'm giving at the AI World Congress 2024 event. I'm going to show you briefly what my company does and how I think LLMs and AI will help my company provide a much more useful service. So, a bit of background. My company has a single database in Snowflake that contains thousands of tables of open data covering all kinds of different subjects. Now, as we've got bigger and bigger over the years, the service has remained the same, it's just been more and more tables. And that's fine, but the thing is, now we're getting to a point where customers of ours are finding it increasingly hard to find what they're looking for. But the worst thing is, I'm coming across customers every now and again that have a need for some particular sort of data and were completely unaware of some table or tables that had just what they needed all along. And the reason they didn't know is because the table name didn't say anything that helped them realise they had what they needed, and the table description didn't either. None of the metadata was helping. So we have solved that problem without using LLMs or AI, but as you'll see, we'll need to invoke LLMs and AI uses to help make it better. So what we've done so far is we've made a table that, thanks to the speed of Snowflake, we're able to update every day quite rapidly. It just goes through all of our tables and gets a distinct list of the table schema name, the column name, the description in the column, so every single value in every single column of every table, and a row count to tell you how many times those values appear. Now, as you can imagine, the users can then query this table of search results to then find any tables that contain a particular word or phrase they're looking for, be it in the table name or in one of the values inside one of the tables in one of the columns. So, for example, if here we search for the word neoplasm, this has brought back every table that has the word neoplasm either in the table name or in column name, so that's great. Now let's do an example. Let's say we're going to look for the word tube. All it's doing is just a select statement, selecting from that search table where the table schema or name or description or one of the values in the table contains the word tube. And as you can see, it's found 41 tables, which is all great. What's really useful is that it's even found, say for example, this one here, the sickness absence by reason staff group organisation. The description doesn't have the word tuber in it, the name doesn't, there's no clue for the metadata, but one of the columns does have that word in some of its values. I've just got it running here in fact. So this is that table with all the different reasons for people to feel sick: infectious disease, nervous system disorders, burns, poisoning, etc. And if I search where reason has the word tumour in it, I can see that there are rows in there with the word tumour. This is where the reason for them being sick is benign and malignant tumours, cancers. Now the thing is, only customers of ours that already know about the NHS workforce statistics would know that that table contains data about tumours. So anyone else who's using our service who wasn't already aware of what's in NHS workforce would completely miss this data. But they won't now, it's in this table. So, as I said, this, as you can see, I've not used AI on that so far. That's all very well and good. Now, what if the fact is there is a table in our database that has stuff to do with tumours, but it's in Portuguese, because we've started loading data from across Europe now. So this one here, this one has deaths by different causes, one of which is tumour. And the tumour in Portuguese is spelled T-U-M-O-R-E. And now if the customer didn't know that when they were searching for the word tumour in our search table, then missed this one. And as you probably already thought of while I'm talking, what about if they want to use the word cancer? What about if they want to use the word neoplasm? What about various different things? So what we want to do is to use this table that we're managing every day now, it's working fine. But we want to be able to search it using LLMs, so customers can search more cleverly for what they're after. We haven't done that yet, but with Snowflake, over the coming months, and I'm pretty sure in time for next year's show, where I'm hoping to get a slot to show it off, we will have developed the tool for doing smart LLM-powered searches, and I'll show that to you next year. So, I think this video just carrying on. Okay, so hopefully that explains the problem we've got and what we're trying to solve. I don't know about you and your customers, but there must be a whole load of stuff that you've got in your services that unless you explicitly told the customer about it, they won't know about it. That's what we need LLMs for, right? Because the way your data is explained might not be quite the language that the person searching for it is using it, and they'll not notice it. So, if I pass back to Varun, Varun's going to explain very briefly how Varun himself, Snowflake very, very generously lending us Varun's time to help one of my team develop using Snowflake LLM AI features, user features, to do that goal. That'll make all my customers very, very happy.
So this is a very common problem, right? Any organization has. Everyone has a lot of data. How to make it searchable is a complex problem. The root of the problem is people don't know what that data has or is, right? So using LLMs to actually generate description about the data set itself is the starting point. So we start by basically saying, okay, let's try to generate description about all the data set that we have. The responses might not be perfect, but they are good most of the time. Personally working with a lot of the customers, I've seen it gives quite a good result most of the time. Once you have that metadata, you basically apply a search service or build a RAG around it, which takes that metadata and make it searchable. So next time any user is asking a question in a natural language, it will use that search service in the chatbot itself to present the response in a natural language way, which is easily understood by any users within an organization who can then find and access that data quite easily. That's how we are working with FactSet I mentioned to make a lot of this open data accessible to anyone so that they can find this information and use this information to apply it to their further AI needs. Thanks.
That's great. And one other thing it's going to help me with, if it all works, which I'm sure it will, is I'm going to put that engine on a website so people can just search and say, have you got any data on blah, blah, blah? And then it will tell them if they do. And then a customer, I'd imagine, if they see that we've got some data that they're hoping to see, then they'll contact me and might use my service. So I think LLMs and AI are probably, hopefully, going to help me grow the company quicker. But I'll let you know next year if that happens or not. If you want to speak to me, I'm actually got a little stand just outside that door, and I can show you. And anyone who wants to help me make it better, please come and help me because I need help. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And Varun. And our last speaker of today will be Dula Hijab.